Welcome into another edition of Legal Access. We get together every week to give you access to different aspects of the law. Today we're talking about family law, which divorce, separation, custody agreements, adoption, they're all under that umbrella. So if you have any questions about any of those aspects of the law, today's your day to get those questions answered. Phone number is on your screen. Don't be afraid to give us a call, 843-848-8080. And here on our panel to answer those questions for you today, first of all, from the McGuire Law Firm is Ian McGuire. Then also on our panel to answer more of those questions, Brandon Williams and also Randy Mullins. Thanks for being here today, guys.
Good morning.
Thank you. So
yeah, family court all is a great topic. Sorry, and we have two fantastic guests, fantastic people, and always entertaining. Brianna, tell us about your firm.
I have Indigo Family Law. We are based in Surfside. We have different offices. I have a North Myrtle Beach, and a Georgetown office. But we mainly focus on family. Like we do divorce, custody, adoptions, and then we do wills and trusts. We say we take care of your family now and in the future.
Awesome. And Randy?
Well, we have, we're in North Myrtle Beach. I'm too old to have that many offices like my friend Brandon. We do family law, we do civil cases, we defend HOA cases. In the past, I've done appeals. I've about ended my federal criminal defense career just because I'm getting too old for that. Mediation and arbitration I'm certified in too, and I'm a court guardian.
Yeah, well, family court, as we said, is always a super popular topic between, child custody, divorces, adoptions. But between Brianna and Randy, they have a wealth of information on all kinds of the areas of law and they mentioned some of them. So give us a call at 843-848-8080. That's 843-848-8080. If you have any questions that our panel can answer for you.
Well, a lot of the aspects of family law are on the negative side between divorce, separation, and custody battles. But obviously the one positive is adoption. And Brandon, you know where I'm going. I always ask you every time you're here about the positive side of family law. And you're a shining example. You've got your own Brady Bunch that you've adopted. So tell us, as far as adoption, first of all, how are all the kids doing?
They're great. So everybody knows, I have 6 adopted children. They are 21, 21, 20, 19, 18, and 15. Going on it. They're great. I have 2 in college, all 4 out of high school, 2 still left in high school. Everybody's good. My adoption experience, I did it local, I did it in Russia, so I did international, and I did it through the DSS system out of Texas. So adoption is great. It is wonderful. It is the most loving thing somebody can do, and we do a ton of them, and we're so happy we do it. Just so everybody knows, we do grandparent adoptions, we do same-sex adoptions, we do step-parent adoptions, so there's a gamut.
And what seems to be the most popular way for people to do it, privately or to go through adoption agencies?
People do both. Adoption agencies are a good thing. Like lots of times they will hook up, I would call it non-relative adoptions, like where people don't know somebody or you're looking for a brand new baby type situation. Right. But I always tell people, if you want to adopt, literally the best thing to do is just put it out there for the universe. You'll be surprised at the people who know people who it comes up and they call and they'll say, I have this, and it's it just happens. So.
Well, like I said, you've got your own Brady Bunch, so congratulations for doing the good thing, because I saw something earlier today as far as adoption, and just like a meme on the internet about, as an adopted kid, you know that your parents are loving parents, and you also know that you were wanted, specifically you were. So, there's a lot of good aspects to it. And again, the way to get started with that would be to just, like you said, put it out to the universe, or...
Absolutely. I think you do every aspect that there is, and then you put it out, and literally you'll be amazed at what the universe brings to you. And I will say this, lots of people say, oh my gosh, you're so special for having done that, but here's the reality. My children are just as special to me. I'm blessed. If I didn't have adopted children, I wouldn't have children. So they're as much of a blessing to me, or more so, than I could ever be to them.
Well, my hat's off to you, because I have one and it's all I can do.
Well, now I'm not saying it's easy, because when we come, we're an invasion, no doubt. But.
Well, you're close to have done your job almost, right? Your youngest is 15, so you're on your way, which is amazing. Good for you.
Now, you mentioned also that you guys do mediations. I know as far as some of the other aspects of family law, like divorce and custody stuff, something like that. it seems like it's so much easier to get it mediated rather than just go in front of a judge and have a judge decide who gets what.
Well, I've been mediating probably one of the longest in this circuit. I studied under the great Cotton Harness, who brought alternate dispute resolution to our state. He's passed away now, but his memory still was with all of us that he taught. There isn't enough judges or courtrooms to try every case in this circuit. We have a lot of cases pending, and not every case needs trial. Some don't. Some just needs to sit down and have some rational thought. Now, mediation's mandatory. You have to do 3 hours on a contested case unless the judge says you don't. So everyone has to do that, and it's a good thing. And it's helped the docket. It's helped the people. It's put away those hard feelings, because trials cause hard feelings.
I'm a certified mediator as well, and I say we probably settle 85% of the cases. Like, I'm a big believer in being, as I say, pick your own poison. If you're getting a divorce, it's a tough spot in life anyway. Obviously, your world is falling apart. You're losing half your stuff. Your children's lives are everything is just different. But it is much, much better if you decide what you can live with versus a judge telling you. Because if you go to court, the decision will be made, and then everybody has to live with it. So I'm a big believer in mediation.
And even when it doesn't completely resolve at mediations, you narrow issues down at the very least, and a lot of times shortly thereafter things can resolve. So that I don't know a time when they're not somewhat beneficial, even if it doesn't completely resolve everything, right?
Correct.
Yeah, that's correct.
Now, a lot of times they call attorneys counselor. Did you know that you were going to have to be counselors or psychologists when you got into this profession?
Well, my thing that I wanted to do was try cases. I was a trial lawyer, have been, probably still am. I don't try as many as I used to. But, to quote Cotton Harness, Randy, if the only tool in your toolbox is a hammer, then everything looks like a nail and you want to pound it. And you have to have more tools in this modern society to practice law and to get people through their difficulties. You can't just try every case. And that's the counseling part that I thought was worthless in law school, but it turns out it's pretty good.
Absolutely. You're amazed. And going back to the mediator part, quite frankly, that's probably my favorite role, because you get to go into people. Because as an attorney, your job is to represent your client and what your client wants within the bounds of the law. As a mediator, you can go in and say, okay, I'm not wearing the black robe, in this, but given my years of experience, this is kind of what you can expect. And so you get to give credence to both attorneys and maybe help the people get not so stuck in what they think is, and what really might happen.
All right, we're off to a quick start here, but if you have any questions, we've got plenty of time left, but don't wait to the very end of the show to try to get your questions answered about family law. The phone number is on your screen. Give us a call here today on Legal Access, brought to you by the McGuire Law Firm. Welcome back. It's Legal Access, brought to you by the McGuire Law Firm. Today we're talking about family law. If you have any questions about divorce, separation, custody, adoption, here we've got plenty of people to answer those questions for you. Ian McGuire from the McGuire Law Firm, also Brandon Williams and Randy Mullins. So give us a call. Don't wait to the very end of the show to do so. Now, when you hear about some of these, if you're reading some of the tabloids and you hear about some of these big, high-profile Hollywood divorces, they say that so-and-so's only been married 9 years, so they didn't have to give a full 50% to their spouse when they got divorced. Are there any benchmarks like that in the state of South Carolina as far as what the settlement percentages are?
You want me to take that?
Yeah, go ahead.
Well, alimony doesn't have a written benchmark. All right, judges can award alimony on any of the 12, 13 considerations. But most of our judges have this feeling that the marriage should be at least 10 years old. That's kind of a consensus on that. And length of the marriage helps you on a couple things. One is that's an issue for alimony if it's over 10. It's an issue on equitable distribution. To see who contributed to the acquisition of marital property. But there's no actual writing, black and white, I can give you that says a black and white figure. A judge could award alimony on any case if he feels it's justified.
Right.
What I think people need to understand, like, we are an equitable division state, not an equal division state. So like California, for instance, is equal. That's why they do prenups. You know, you marry the rock star today, you can get half their stuff tomorrow, right? We're not like that. We're what you call equitable, and it's supposed to mean fair. So when you say about 7 years, you kind of have to look at what's in the pot. Now, it's not clearly defined all the time what's in the pot. There are some things that, you know, if it was acquired during the marriage, but if you had something before, did you transmute it? They're fancy words you can use, but so the worst thing for me, I'm a math girl, and law is not black and white at all. It is very gray.
Right.
And so again, we're equitable, which is supposed to mean fair. So.
Do you have any stories about people who are trying to hide assets with going through divorces?
Every day.
Anything that you can say on the air? I mean.
Every day. Every day we run across things like, you know, the attorney doesn't give you the PI report, and then when you get the PI report, it's got numbers on it for bank accounts or credit cards that haven't been disclosed. You know, things like that happen all the time. You also run across the flip side of that too, where you know, a litigant says, well, everything's transmuted. Okay, well, why? Well, because I say it is. You know, but you have the burden of proof on showing transmutation. You know, if you think it's non-marital, especially if you inherited it or it was a gift from a third party, you know, you have the burden of proving that.
So transmutation, just for the people out there, you're saying just basically proving if it's marital versus non-marital.
That's correct. Say I owned a piece of land, and Branda comes along and I marry her because she's a fine woman. And that piece of land I put into both of our names, and Branda goes out there and puts in the sewer and the water and the roads and everything else. And then we get divorced and Branda says, I own half of that. It's like, no, that's in my name. That's transmuted, clearly, by the efforts of one spouse or the other.
The other thing that comes up when you talk about stories is people really fight about the pets. Like I literally had I had one, they come in, and just so for the audience's knowledge, the judges treat animals like a chair. I mean, they're not. If you're a pet person, you're a pet person. But for the marital family court stuff, it's a chair. So either you get it or you get it. They don't share it unless you agree to that.
Right.
Yeah.
And
I don't mean judges don't like animals.
it has nothing. It's just the law. That's right.
You know, big shout out to Justice Hearn. She loves animals.
But
I'm sorry.
And people will get very emotional though about the animals.
Oh my.
And as you mentioned, people get very emotional about things that in the big picture may not seem important, and that's why mediations, going back to it, are excellent, because those are the kind of things that sometimes when a third party gets involved in it, it can be hammered out and sort of soothed if you know, if it's all about the dog or the cat.
Yeah, and it really is.
You know, those are the kind of things you need to work out.
Right.
You know, and I have 3 rescues. Okay. You know, if you want a dog, instead of spending thousands, go over to the pound. They have them lined up for you to take.
Yeah.
Now, Brandon, you mentioned prenups. Now, we hear a lot about that in high society and in Hollywood and in New York City. Are prenups and postnups becoming more popular in little old South Carolina?
Actually, they really are, especially within a lot. I do a lot of those, and second marriages, things of that nature. And what I don't know that our audience is aware of, not only can you have a prenup, you can have what we call a postnup. So if you didn't take care of it before you got married and something comes up that you want to handle, you certainly can come and see an attorney and do a postnup and resolve those things and determine what will happen if in case the divorce does occur.
And of course, that's a contract that both sides have to agree to, right?
Correct. It is an agreement, but there are some requirements on it, like both sides are going to be represented by an attorney, there has to be full disclosure, things of that nature. But I just want the audience aware, not only, it's not just a prenup, you can do a postnup as well.
The myth out there is we'll use one lawyer. Well, lawyers only got one client in that situation. So, you know, if you do spend the money on a prenup and the other side doesn't spend the money to at least talk to a lawyer, you wasted that money. What do you think, Brandon?
Correct. It is a waste of time.
What about if you were separating a separation agreement? Would you encourage both sides at that stage to have a lawyer as well, or can one lawyer handle that?
Well, I only know one lawyer. Big shout out to Jay Bolts. He mediates for pro se people.
Yeah.
He doesn't like to mediate for lawyers. And people can go into mediation without a lawyer and solve their differences. They just have to act like adults.
Yeah.
And Jay is real good at that. I mediate pro ses. I don't know if Brandon does.
I do.
Brandon, you do?
Yeah.
It's not something you have to have, but you have to understand the process and what your rights are.
The other thing I will say is lots of times if folks come to see me and they have an agreement, you don't have to have a lawyer to go to court. But realistically, in order to get your divorce, in order to dot your I's, cross your T's, make it happen as quickly and as seamlessly as possible, it is better to have an attorney. And I tell folks all the time, the paperwork that we do for you isn't full of really fancy 25-cent words, so to speak. They're simple words and everybody understands and you know what's going on. But the paperwork will say, I represent you. I do not represent the other side. You certainly are entitled to have your attorney, but this is what you want, and I can guide my client and kind of backhandedly help you through the process.
Right. Now, Ian mentioned separation agreements. To be able to get a divorce, you actually don't need a separation agreement, do you?
No.
You just need to be apart for a year. Now, who regulates?
A year and a day.
A year and a day.
That's
Who
a
regulates?
common
I
error.
mean, does somebody have to write this down on a calendar? All right, the day before Halloween, we decided to go ahead and separate.
Well,
Usually it comes to veracity of the clients and the testimony. Like if somebody comes in and says, we separated October 1st, and then, oh my God, I got a year. Well, maybe it was last October. No, you've already told me. And as attorneys, quite frankly, we are not allowed to perpetrate a fraud on the court. So if you've told me this, I have to hold you to that. But it's the clients.
And they have a witness, which is why I always sort of chuckle, is the witness is not following them around for a year and a day, right? But they do have somebody that sort of, I guess,
A close
can
enough
confirm,
friend, relative, somebody who's in their life. The question is, do you guys have such a relationship that if they had gotten back together, would you know it? So.
Today we're going to run to another break here real quick. When we get back, we're going to talk about grandparents. We're going to talk about children's rights and a whole lot more as we're talking about family law today. Phone number's on your screen. Give us a call. We've got about 10 minutes left in the show. 848-8080 is our phone number. It's Legal Access, brought to you by the McGuire Law Firm.
I will.
Welcome back. It's Legal Access, brought to you by the McGuire Law Firm. Today we're talking about family law, divorce, separation, custody, adoption. If you have any questions about those, still got a few minutes left in the show. We should be able to sneak you in under the wire. But Randy Mullins, I did promise you that we'll give you an opportunity. I know, Ian, you like to donate to a lot of local causes. You've got a great local cause and an event coming up next weekend.
That's correct, Dave. Thank you for the plug. Scout Troops 888-1888, The Great Experiment. We're a linked troop. We have a golf tournament at Azalea Sands. Shotguns start at 9 o'clock next Saturday. So come on out. We'd like you to come out and see what the Scout Troops still look like.
And if people are interested in booking a tea time or a foursome, do they go to Azalea Sands or do they come to you?
Either way. Dale over there will get you in.
Okay.
But say they want to, can they get online and sign up, or?
No, but email me at scoutsrandy888 and I will get you the forms.
Scouts Randy
888
888 and
at gmail.com.
gmail.com. Well,
But thank you, Dave.
it's always a fun tournament, right?
It is. It's always a good time, and a lot of those kids have earned their golf merit badge there, so they're excited about it.
That's awesome. We were talking earlier about settlements, and people don't want to be spending money on lawyers if they don't have to, but we talked about fighting over pets and fighting over toasters and small things that can really drag on litigation. And what are some things that can be done maybe to narrow and simplify matters and hopefully make it as easy as possible for both the parties?
Well, I don't know about Branna, but I've asked to speak we have a seminar that all the lawyers and judges of the circuit get together and they tell you how they want things prepared, which is just absolutely fantastic. I don't know anywhere else they can do it. They definitely don't do it down in Charleston. I I asked to speak because there's some things happening in mediation I think we can make clearer to everybody. Come prepared to make an offer. You know how you want this case to end. Be prepared to make an offer. Don't take 2.5 hours of the 3 hours, twiddling your thumbs. This is not a time for discovery. You should know what you got.
I tell people, and talk about the mediation and getting to it,
Yeah.
because the fact of the matter is, you really have to have two extremes, because your life is now radically changing. And so you may be the dumper, you may be the dumpee, I say, but your life is radically changing. So you need to know what would be the pie in the sky. Oh my God, if this is the settlement I get, I'm as happy as, a little pig in mud. And then you need to know what is the worst thing that I am willing to agree to, or else a judge has to tell me. Because ultimately you're going to end up in the middle. People need to understand when they walk away from mediation, they need to feel like they gave a little bit too much. But ultimately that's much better. And it's my advice on that is, especially if you have children, because children are getting a divorce too. It's not just you and the spouse, it's you and the child is losing a parent. And you had the children because you wanted to love them and protect them. And a divorce is just difficult, and I think people have to remember their children.
Yes, they should.
Speaking of which, two people are married, they get divorced. The grandparents in the cases say, okay, well, I'm losing visitation with my grandchildren. Do they have any rights to be able to get any kind of visitation?
That's been severely watered down, Dave. I went to the Supreme Court as a guardian twice. One of them was Vasquez versus Cottle. I don't know if you remember that one. Our court has tried to dial that back. But understand, a family court judge is usually also a grandparent. And they usually want to promote that relationship. I had a great relationship with my grandparents, and it helped me growing up. So I'm not a good guardian on those cases, I'll tell you up front. I like grandparents.
For me, I think what the law actually says is if you've got a mom and you've got a dad, the rights of the families veer out from those two. And as long as they are fit under the law, and once again, that's clear as mud, so if you've got a situation you need to call. But if your son is the parent, then your rights flow through them.
Yeah.
If you're a daughter, and it's derivative, that's the big fancy word. And then, otherwise you got to supersede that.
It comes up a lot when one parent's in prison.
Right.
Or one parent's absent, you don't know where they are. Those are situations that grandparents usually win.
Now, as far as children are concerned, do they have any say in what parent they would go to as far as custody is concerned?
Okay, wait a minute. That's a soapbox for me.
Yeah.
Because here's the thing.
Go ahead.
People get mad about what my child doesn't say, but here's the deal. A child should never have that responsibility placed on their shoulder. Absolutely not. And I applaud South Carolina for that. Now, our law says that if a child is over 13, their wishes are one of the considerations that's in the deal.
Absolutely.
But the responsibility and the choice is never on the child, and it should not be. And parents should not ask a child, who do you want to live with? Who do you want to be? I mean, that is a terrible parenting thing. And if you really want to make a judge mad, that's what you do.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, tell you what, we got to run at the end of the show. We appreciate you watching here today as we've been talking about family law. Next week when we get back together, we're going to be talking about workers' compensation. That'll be our topic next Thursday, 11:30. Make sure and get your questions in advance. If you'd like to, you can email us, legalaccess@wmbfnews.com, or you can email your questions about family law if you didn't get them in today, and we'll answer them off the air. Workers' compensation, that'll be next week. We'll see you then here on Legal Access.
You may wish to consult a lawyer to obtain case-specific legal advice. Information regarding lawyers can be located online or by contacting the South Carolina Bar Lawyer Referral Service, toll-free at 1-800-868-2284. If you are currently represented by an attorney, you should direct all legal questions to your attorney. The nature of any legal issue may depend on a multitude of factors. Therefore, the information provided